All right, September 22nd. This is from Justin to Cully. By the way, on the show today, it kind of like what happened? Did I spit something out randomly again, or somehow the name came up? How did that happen? What happened on the show today? You remember that? Like I don't like the name anymore, and now you're
No,
offended by it or something?
Kirk said, Justin, Cully's trying to take the name from you. And then I said, I don't really know what voice I used, but I think I said like, I like the name of the show
Oh, right.
or
Yeah,
something like that.
people were
And
very
then,
creeped out by that voice, I think.
and then Kirk was like, the fuck was that? And then, so he quickly moved on from that.
Yeah, which
So
that worked out for me because then I didn't have to feel bad about. I don't mind the name, but I feel like when you were gone, people were like, "What was that name anyway?" But I don't know. I like it, and
well,
I
I'm
actually
back, baby, and the name's staying with me.
there you go. That's
So
fine. Hey, and you know what? I didn't even connect it. I didn't remember that movie. I remember it now, but
neither
I had
did
no. I didn't
I.
connect the dots.
Yeah, no,
I had a,
neither. Someone, I think it was like Blobe was like from Justin to Cully, and I was like, that's it. It's from Justin to Cully.
I
So
couldn't even remember. All right, so before we get into just because it's fresh, before we get into show topics, Milton's lunch today.
it was good.
So reaction to it, comparison to the last lunch. What are you thinking?
Uh, I I was I'm not nervous, but like we were in a booth this time, and I
Yep,
was sitting. It was Mike, me, and Kirk, and I was
yep,
like, oh, I just feel awkward just sitting like on the same like bench as Kirk. Like it was just like I just know he does not like this,
yep.
so I do not like
Is
this.
that the closest you've ever physically been to Kirk Minihane?
No, we've like hugged and things before, like in
Oh, you did?
Miami
Yeah,
last year. Yeah, we
that's
we were
right.
big on hugs and everything
Yep.
like that.
Okay.
But probably the closest I've ever been.
I
But
thought it was good. It was good conversation. I think on the show we mentioned how he said I wasn't as good as the business talk. Like I like that it's more just like us shooting the shit at
shooting the
all
shit,
today.
just
Yeah, just just being guys or what I don't know. Either way,
guys
and
being dudes.
yeah, and then Bill and I talk and other things about scripts and whatever else off the top. But that was just like I thought it was a good lunch. I thought it wasn't as many funny moments as the last time. Like we didn't have a root beer moment today.
I guess.
And Mike didn't offend any waitress today. So it's
Yeah, I
not
was trying to
what
think.
was
Yeah,
what
Mike
was
didn't
the
attack any.
moment? Yeah, I can't even remember a moment specifically from today.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I
Yeah.
mean, my mom. I got a bunch of great clothes from Milton's, so
Yes. You're happy
was
about
very
that.
excited.
You're very pushy about the underwear, by the way.
Dude,
Very
I'm telling you, I went around. I think I went around to everyone. I was like, get
pushy.
fucking Tommy
Did you go
John.
around to Kirk? Did you tell Kirk to get the Tommy Johns?
I'm not going
He
to tell
has
Kirk
some
what
because
to
they were
wear.
a sponsor for a while. Yeah. So I'm
So
sure he has some. All right. So Milton's trip was great. Bill is the best. So thank you to him. Did you text him yet or no? We got to remember to reach out.
I'm going to text him at 5.
Good. All
Just
right. All right. So you got to remember. So, all
get
right.
those
Show
numbers.
today, which was a funny one. We talked about just kind of out of the blue. The Vindog article from 9/11 came up and just just freaking hysterical, which just kind of I don't know. That ended up it was funny. Like we were talking after the show, what were the takeaways? And I didn't go into today thinking Vindog would be a takeaway, but that was a
No, neither did I.
funny portion of the show.
No, I think it was very funny when Kirk started talking about it. He's like, I know I really didn't mention it on 9/11, but I was reading this article and I think he said he was texting KFC about it.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where if you just glance by it or you just read it, passing by it like, oh, it's an article, a blog about 9/11,
Yep.
it's just his personal story.
Yep.
But then the first two paragraphs, I was laughing along because I'm reading it as Kirk is reading it. And the entire first two paragraphs are like, this family just wanted to move the daughters into the basement. So I recommended they got this system put in that was all above ground. And it was like, what?
This monster buildup, right? We're just like every little detail, and then you're finally gonna get like to Kirk's point, you're gonna get and then I lost my family member or whatever. You're gonna get like the
Yeah.
culmination of the story is gonna be this sad 9/11 moment, and yeah, you're right. Like the whole buildup to it is just something you weren't. I don't know. It's just I thought it was kind of a troll piece when I was listening to it, but everybody
I
seems to
don't
think
think
that yeah.
I don't think Vindog would do a troll piece about 9/11. If he would, I mean, Jesus, good on him.
I know.
Like,
I know.
that's fucking hilarious.
It's like
But
sounds too good to be true. I think that's what Mike was saying on the show today is that it's just like if it's supposed to be funny, if he was trying to be funny, it was the funniest thing he's ever read. If he's trying to be
yes,
serious, it was still the funniest thing he's ever read. So
yes.
yeah.
So
I don't know
we'll have
much
to keep
about
an
I
eye
don't know
on
much about
Vindog's.
Vindog. I don't know much about him.
I,
We should keep an eye on his blogs then because
yeah, yeah.
uh,
That's what I was gonna say. We
yeah,
got to
he's
keep an
from
eye
our
on
neck
his
of the
blog.
woods, right? Isn't he from like North Attleboro or something? I think.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I feel like when
I
he
just
first
I
came
just
in.
know that he's like whenever Portnoy is at war with someone, he'll be like Vindog attack, and then Vindog will just meme that person to death.
And
So
it's like he's always putting like his face as he's like it's just fun. He is a fun. The
it's
memes
great.
are,
Yeah, it's great.
the memes are great. All right, so other topics that we got into today. We talked about the Joyanne Reed story, how she kind of brought up the Gabby Petito case and wasted kind of no time, basically making it a racial issue. We know Joyanne Reed's past. We keep saying I say Joyanne Reed because you wrote it out in the description. It's Joy Reed. I don't know why. I think in her Twitter bio she has Joy Ann Reed. I don't know. I don't think
Oh
she
well,
announced.
I
Yeah,
thought it
whatever.
was
You just went off
Joy
that. No, but
Reed too,
I'm
but
looking at the description. Keep seeing Joy Ann Reed. It's not a big deal. That's what her Twitter thing
oh
is. But
well,
uh, no, she wasted no time. The case is kind of fascinating, by the way. It's just like fascinating the reaction to it now.
mhm.
We were talking about it before the show. Like I don't know what else there is to say. Like immediately you thought the boyfriend did it. By the way, I'm not trying to like go away from Joy Reid, but like I don't know. I just think I don't know why the reaction to the case like exploded the way it did. I really don't.
I think it's because, like Kirk said, it's an attractive, young, college-educated white girl
Yeah.
who came from like not she didn't come from like a shitty home. She came from a nice, seemed like it was a nuclear family,
Yep.
everything like that. And so kind of the news kind of latches onto it. I mean, Joy
Joy
fucking
Reid.
fuck this.
Yeah.
Joy Reid makes a
It's
good
in your
point
head. Yeah.
where she's talking about like I really wouldn't necessarily call it like what does she call it like white missing girl syndrome
Yeah.
or
Yep.
something like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I really wouldn't
Missing white
necessarily
girl
put it
syndrome.
towards that. I would just put it towards like, yeah, I mean, this is just one that just caught on. I mean, I mean, you can do this on the other side too when there's police shootings and you're like, well, you always hear about the African Americans who are killed by police brutality. You don't care about it. So it all depends on like which way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
And I think Kirk made a good point where it's like, hopefully Joy Reid gets a platform where she's able to
Yeah.
talk about
It
these missing
definitely
people soon.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, it's definitely heavily weighted toward, kind of the white attractive girl, but it's also like I was trying to bring up the social media age because this thing just took off on social. It took off on TikTok. It took off on YouTube.
Mhm.
That I do wonder if, in the opposite situation, if she were black instead, I still think it would be a major story. I still think TikTok would grab onto it. I don't know, but it does seem to
Yeah,
be way more
I guess
prevalent.
we'll never know.
Yeah, I
So
guess we'll never know, but it does seem to be way more prevalent. All right, so other topics that came up on today's show: Tim and Canton, who is just an absolute wild man of a human being. I mean,
who did show up to Milton's?
yeah, that's what I
We
was
will
just
say.
about to say. This Kirk always uses the line like, "What other podcast in America would have this happen?" Like in any other world, Tim and Canton is an absolute psychopath of a human being, and this
Yeah,
show is
he's the
Captain
person
Marvel
that
somehow. Yeah.
like in any other world, Kirk has a restraining order against Timmy Canton.
Yes. Yeah. So he calls in today and he wants Kirk and Mike to draft Kirk's basically high school friends or friends in general, right? Were they all from high school? I can't remember, but it was 11 names I think he came up with.
Yeah, no, they were all from high school. It wasn't anyone that I could say, but I did not know the majority of the names that
Yep.
were said. So I think that's very funny that
Who's the one that
like
Mike? Do you know the one that Mike
it was
said Lace?
Justin something.
Something he kept saying I would have picked Lace as my. I think he picked Lace as his number one. I didn't know that background story, but it's funny that Tim calls in, has him drafting
Yeah.
his friends. It's a psycho move, and then with the cherry on top, Tim shows up on to Milton's with a tape measure and a scale to catch me in an unfortunate accidental lie that I am in fact 160 pounds. Which, by the way, I was fearing the worst because then Kirk put in my head that maybe there's a chance I'm 170. I'm 160. I'm 15 pounds heavier than I said I was. So that was inaccurate reporting on my end. So I apologize. It was imprinted in my brain that I was. it is what it is. Height, I believe I'm 5'11", and I believe my minor scoliosis, which was diagnosed last year, is causing an inaccurate reporting with Tim's tape measure. So hopefully we can adjust that. I also didn't have shoes on. So
Well,
I don't
also wouldn't. Well, yeah, well, because shoes aren't part of your body, so it
uh,
would be.
I feel like last time I was at the doctor, they didn't make me take my shoes off though.
What are
When I
what are with these doctors? Like,
what?
just like
You take your
what
shoes off
doctors?
every time? What? Every
Yes,
time
you
you take your
take your
I
shoes off when you.
I feel like I have on most occasions, but I feel like last time I was there, she didn't make me take my shoes off. So I'm just saying it was like,
Maybe that was to like build self confidence or something. But
oh, that could be it.
you're not supposed to measure yourself with
By the way, it
shoes.
wasn't a
That's like
crazy. That's not a crazy lie. He said it was 5'10", which I bet it was 5'10 and a half, and he's just lying about it. So,
we'll
and
see.
I bet my posture wasn't perfect either. So,
We'll see. I will say to kind of back you up on the weight thing. You also got to look at it. It was around 1 o'clock.
yep,
And you're wearing clothes. You're not naked. You're not like right when you
true.
wake up in the morning. So
I'm a
yeah, I'm
big.
sure you can
I
shave a
chugged a
couple.
lot of. I drank a lot of water this morning. Lot of
Yeah.
water this morning. So yeah,
So
the odds were stacked against me. Unfortunately, it's all right. I mean, I'm not mad at Tim for it about it or anything like that. But
yeah,
it is what
but
it is. So.
yeah. So I am two of you is what I concluded from this. So
You very well may be. You very well may be.
no, I very well am. It's very well not maybe. It's very well am.
All right. So,
So
what other things stood out for you from the show today? That was kind
uh,
of anything crazy?
I think Mike had an interesting point. Just quickly touching on the Jerry stuff.
Yep.
When he was saying like, so he listened to the wrap up show you and me did on Monday, and he
Yep.
thought that like I was going a little bit too hard on Jerry, and he thought Kirk was kind of going to not like attack me, but just be like, Justin, like calm down. That's not what happened at all. And I think that just shows the difference between if you were there and you saw it
Yep.
and you saw it like play out, you saw the beforehand, you saw the after. Like, granted, there were laughs and everything like that, but
Yeah.
if you just listen to it, you definitely get like a different experience.
Yes.
That's like what I said. I think I said yesterday that when you listen to it, it's definitely if you listen to it again after you see the joyless tweet from Kirk, it's like almost a completely
A whole
different
different.
show.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you're Kirk going into a show like that, thinking it's going to be, a joyful experience, right? And you're going to be busting each other's balls and laughing the entire time. And then on multiple separate occasions, he's talking about the whole threatening the family situation. Listen, I can't even fucking host a goddamn wrap up show. I would imagine it would like throw you off to like change the mood. I don't know. We
Mhm.
could feel it. I imagine Kirk felt it. Obviously, he said it was a joyless show. It probably threw him off a little bit, but it's funny to also then hear Jerry's perspective, which is like, I didn't think it was joyless whatsoever. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just
Yeah.
you could sense the awkwardness, right out the gate from being there. So you're right. I think there is a difference between being there and not being there and listening to that show. But on the flip side too, like I've heard you go off on Jerry for things way less than what happened on Sunday. So
Oh
you're
yeah,
just
yeah. No,
consistent across the board.
I mean, I'm not going to say my mind was made up that I was going to go off on Jerry before the show even happened,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but so it is nice to hear that they talked yesterday and that they've come to kind of like somewhat of an understanding
Yes.
because I do think at its best Jerry's relationship with Kirk is healthy.
Yeah.
So like when it's good, it's good. So I'm always hoping
No,
it's the best
I'd
for it.
like to see Jerry come into the studio someday. I mean, now they're doing Friday shows, so I guess that can happen. But I'd like to see him come into the studio someday and operate basically under the assumption that he's like Mike or Chris, right? Like the show doesn't change for like these inside stories of old radio days or old colleagues or whatever with Mike or obviously with Mike or Chris. So I'm just like act like a sidekick that day where it's Kirk's vision for the show and play it out with Jerry. Like it every time we talk to Jerry, we just hear the reminiscing stories. So I'd love to
Mhm.
just have like what we deem to be a normal show with Jerry there sometime,
Yeah, I'm not ever
Well,
sure that's
I
going
don't
to
think, but
happen.
yeah,
I guess that wouldn't be the worst idea. I'm sure KNC fans would love that, but
yeah.
I just don't know if that's in the cards right
Or do you
now.
just mean them sitting together in general again, like that?
Well, them sitting together in general and just kind of doing like I don't see Jerry ever being in the same position as Mike or Chris.
No, but I don't take it as like literally. I just mean like if Jerry comes on the show and is in studio, like it doesn't need to be Dino stories the whole time. It doesn't need to be WEEI the whole time. It can still be today we talked about Joy Reid. We talked about Vindog. Like, why can't he laugh with us about the Vindog story? That's all. That's all I mean. Like, I'd like to see that type of experience, but to your point, it just may never happen because Kirk doesn't want that to happen either. So
Yeah, I think that's wishful thinking on your part.
yeah. So
I'm just not too sure that will
yeah.
happen.
So
Phone calls today.
the
Oh,
other thing that
oh,
came up and it was kind of super random is one, apparently Loophole hates the show now, or hates or somehow like Kirk hates Loophole. Loophole's a little upset about it because we won't push his t-shirts. Like that happened toward the end of
so 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 what happened was he right before I left, he was like, Justin, send me your address so I can send you these t-shirts for Kirk. It's a loophole t-shirt. And I was like, sure. So I sent him my address, my parents' address. He sent them to me. I was going to bring them in on Wednesday, that Wednesday when I was just like, I can't fucking do this.
Yep.
And I never brought them in. So that's why as soon as he called in, I was like, shit. So yeah, I'll be
Yep.
bringing them in on Friday in if anyone wants to do it. I don't think he's selling them. I just think he just wanted to know if Kirk got it.
Yeah, so he just tweeted at me. I did retweet him, by the way. I didn't remember doing that. I didn't remember. Like I viewed him as if he was like Dino Raja calling in, right? Like I thought he was a character. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing on Twitter like these pictures of him potentially, which looked real. It wasn't like it looked like it was photoshopped in any way. And then he
Mhm.
just said, I think he's lying. I don't think he's a real independent wrestler.
I have no idea.
I'm
I
very
mean,
confused. His
you
social
you
media
you have it
activity is
in more with the independent wrestlers than I do. I have
Well,
no idea.
he says he was under a different name years ago, but either way, so I guess he sent T-shirts. He's mad at Kirk for not pushing them, which Kirk shouldn't be pushing those T-shirts probably anyway, obviously. So,
I don't
all right,
see, but yeah.
all right,
So
did we?
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. Well, did we miss anything of value? I think we covered all the bases there.
I think real quick. I think one of the funniest calls of all time was today when the drunk guy from Ohio called in
Yep.
and was like,
Was that Greg?
I think it was Greg from
Yep.
Ohio,
Yep.
and Kirk's like, "Why are you drunk?" And he just goes, "Yeah, I'm an alcoholic." And he's like, "Okay, well, what's your question?" And his question, all time question. I'm surprised no one has ever asked Mike this before, especially because it's brought up on the show so many times. He said, "Mike, so what's it like being blind?" Which is just an all time like it's just
Unbelievable.
like
The perfect question.
it's. I mean, the reason why I think they had to skip over it was because like it would have taken another 2 hours for Mike to really tell his whole story.
Really, and you know
And
what?
so,
You don't even need the answer. Like the execution of the call and the
oh, it
question
was great.
perfect. It
And
was
then to be
perfect.
followed up with a great call with how much does Portnoy make?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
that's another great one.
That was another
Just
great call.
just keep those coming. So
Yeah, so
I believe that's it.
yeah, the phone lines were good today, so that's great. So phone lines were good, good show, had a good Milton's experience. We do have so I'll let Kirk say the other stuff. We do have some news coming out soon.
Yeah, I'm not.
So,
Yeah,
so we do have some news that he can share on Twitter because we don't need to do it right now. And then yeah, I guess that's it. And we're prepping for Sacco. I can't believe we were talking at lunch. It kind of just hit me. Sacco 4 is
in a
under
week
two
and a
weeks
half.
away, which is a week and a half away, which is wild to me. It snuck up. So, all right, cool.
Sneaky,
All right, we
sneaky.
will. Yeah, we will catch you guys on. Sorry, I interrupted you. These remote broadcasts are just rough, but we will catch you guys again on Friday. We'll have the wrap up after the show, and then obviously the main show. I don't know if we'll be on YouTube again. That was a development today. That
Yeah,
shocked even you
that was
this
a nice
morning.
little. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had no clue.
What do you think? We didn't really ask him on the show. What do you think the impulse there was? What's your take?
I think because yesterday's show took so long to get up, which obviously was not your fault.
Yeah.
I see people saying like, "Oh, Dave needs to get the show up." It wasn't Dave's fault at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. No,
I
it's
think maybe my only guess would be that Kirk was like, we'll give it to him live today.
give
So
it to him live today. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the show going up was just that was an editing thing. We didn't talk about that today, but it was minor. It wasn't a big deal. And then Apple is just actually Apple seems to be faster this week, which is good. So just I
knock
always
on wood, because I feel like whenever one of us says that, the next week it takes like 6 hours.
yeah. I don't know too. By the way, I do see the comments about people with the time of the show. Do people still have this assumption that it's supposed to be out around 11? Because we start. I don't know if
I
people.
think so. I
I
think
mean,
so.
we've been doing 10 o'clock since at least the day I started, and it's been
Oh
live at 10
yes.
o'clock. So I think people should realize that the earliest they will likely ever hear the show is probably what? What do you say? Like 11:45 at best case
I,
scenario. If it's
I would
50,
I would say
yeah,
people should start setting their little things for 1 o'clock. Expect the show by one.
yeah. Especially if
Is
you're with Apple, definitely 1 o'clock.
yes,
If you're with
expect a show by
Android,
one,
yeah.
or
So
use Amazon Music. That's how I listen to my
love
podcasts.
Amazon Music. That's how I listen to my podcast, of course. So, all right, cool. So we will talk to you guys again on Friday, and yeah, we'll see you then.
Bye.